In the world of European power, there are few names that carry as much weight as Wallenberg. For over 150 years, this Swedish dynasty has been an absolute titan of industry and finance. I mean, they didn't just shape their country's economy, they helped shape history itself. But their legacy, well, it's built on a massive and deeply troubling contradiction.
So here's the puzzle we're going to unpack. It really makes you ask, how can one single family name represent the best of humanity, selfless courage, and at the exact same time, be tangled up in some of the darkest chapters of the 20th century? Our story kicks off not with the whole dynasty, but with one man, Raoul Wallenberg. He's the family's most famous member, and you're about to see why.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1944. The Holocaust is raging. A 31-year-old Raoul Wallenberg arrives in Nazi-controlled Budapest. He's officially a Swedish diplomat. Now, his mission was funded by the Americans, but the courage, that was all him. He was armed with pretty much just his wits and this deep-seated belief that he had to do something.
And his methods were just so creative and so incredibly bold. He designed these official-looking Swedish protection passes, the Schutzpass. Now get this, they had no real power in international law, but they looked the part. And unbelievably, Nazi and Hungarian officials often just went along with it. He would show up at train stations, literally climb onto the roofs of boxcars bound for death camps, and just hand these passes down to people. He even went face-to-face with Adolf Eichmann, the architect of the final solution, to negotiate. Just incredible bravery.
In the final, chaotic days before the Soviets liberated Budapest, Wallenberg single-handedly stopped the planned massacre of the last 70,000 Jews in the city's main ghetto. He became a legend, a true symbol of what one person can do against overwhelming evil. He became known as the Angel of Rescue. But, and this is a huge but, Raoul, the great humanitarian, was part of something much bigger and way more complicated. To get the whole picture, we need to zoom out and look at the powerful dynasty that shared his name. For generations, the absolute heart of the Wallenberg Empire was their bank, the Stockholms Enskilda Bank, or SEB. And look, this wasn't just a bank. It was the engine that let the family control a massive slice of Sweden's industrial landscape. We're talking up to 40% of the Stockholm Stock Exchange's entire value by the 1970s. Just huge. The family operated under this simple, powerful motto, Esse, non videri, which is Latin for to be rather than to seem. It speaks to a preference for quiet, effective action over just putting on a show. But as you're about to see, that motto takes on a really dark, ironic meaning when we look at what they were up to during the war. And this is where that pristine image of the Wallenberg name starts to completely fracture. It reveals a seriously troubling alliance that just does not square with Raoul's heroism. This is the question that just cuts right to the heart of the whole contradiction. While their own relative was fighting the Nazis on the streets of Budapest, what were the powerful men running the family bank doing back in neutral Sweden?
The answer is pretty shocking. Here it is, the core of the paradox. While Raoul was risking his neck to save people from the Nazis, his family's bank, SEB, was being accused of actively working with them.
And these aren't just whispers. According to U.S. government reports after the war, SEB was accused of cloaking. That's a fancy word for using its neutral status to hide the fact that certain businesses were actually owned by the Nazis, protecting them from the Allies. Even more disturbing, the bank was implicated in helping the Nazis sell off assets that were looted from Jewish families and occupied countries. So the story seems pretty clear, right? A hero on one side, collaborators on the other. But the Wallenberg story, it has another almost unbelievable twist. Because you see, documents that were hidden away for more than 50 years show that the heads of the Wallenberg Bank were playing a double game of absolutely astonishing proportions. Yeah, just look at this stuff. These handwritten letters and memos, they show that at the very same time their bank was doing business with the Nazis, the heads of the family, the brothers Jacob and Marcus Wallenberg, were also acting as secret go-betweens for the German resistance.
I know, it sounds crazy. The same men accused of hiding Nazi assets were also the main channel between the German plotters trying to kill Hitler and the British government. They were secretly trying to figure out if the Allies would be willing to negotiate a peace deal if the resistance actually managed to stage a coup.
This incredible complexity, collaborating, resisting, wielding immense influence on all sides, it brings us right back to the tragic, central figure of our story, Raoul.
And this is the final, haunting mystery. If the Wallenberg family was so powerful that they could deal with the Nazis, plot with the resistance, and negotiate with the Allies, why wasn't that power used to save their own heroic relative when he needed them the most?
So when the Soviet Red Army rolled into Budapest in January 1945, they arrested Raoul. They suspected he was an American spy. He was taken to Moscow's notorious Lubyanka prison, and then he just vanished. Gone. Despite some reports that he was alive for years, the trail eventually went cold.
So why the deafening silence from Sweden and the powerful Wallenberg family? The most disturbing theory points to something pretty simple and cold: money. In the post-war world, neutral Sweden and the Wallenberg Empire saw a massive business opportunity in the Soviet Union. As historian Paul Levine points out, the family was eager to lend money and build trade with the Soviets. Kicking up a huge diplomatic storm over one missing family member, even a hero, risked irking Stalin and putting those lucrative deals in jeopardy. It's a really chilling thought that the angel of rescue may have been abandoned for the sake of profit. Which brings us right back to that family motto: to be rather than to seem. So what was the reality, the to be of the Wallenberg dynasty? Were they heroes, collaborators, resistors, or just ruthless capitalists? The incredible thing is, the answer seems to be all of the above. And that leaves us to wonder what it truly means to be, when what you seem to be is so profoundly and so tragically contradictory.